Well, something I have not talked about is my ex-wife, Gail. Now, I'm in Augusta's room right now, but I'm not going to talk about Augusta. I'm going to talk about my situation with my ex-wife. She was very abusive to me, very abusive. She would hit me, kick me, threaten to slit my throat in my sleep. Her sister was even worse. Her sister was the meanest woman I've ever known. And her sister would have no problem killing somebody and serving time in prison. That's how crazy her family was. I tried everything. My wife was a drunk. She slept around with everybody. I mean everybody. And she didn't have no problems with it at all. I had to sleep in a bedroom with the door closed and locked. I remember her sister telling me that I was the worst husband ever to not sleep with my wife. I told Deborah, that was her sister, I told her, I said, look, Gail told me that she's going to come in the room and slit my throat. Do you think that I'm going to sleep with her? And Deborah's going, oh, she didn't mean it. She didn't mean it. I went through this for about 3 or 4 years. I remember being at work and my daughter calling me and saying, Daddy, Mommy's on the floor and she fell off the toilet and there's doo-doo all over the floor. Because she was young then. She didn't say shit. She said doo-doo all over the floor. Guess what I had to do? And this is the reason why I get so upset when I hear women talking about, oh, I got a divorce with my husband. Oh, bull crap, girls. Women, you don't even know what a man goes through when they get divorced. You have no idea. Women go after men like crazy when you get a divorce. Child support, alimony, and literally it just gets very nasty. So back to my story about my having to leave work, and I told them, I said, look, I got to go. My wife's got an emergency situation I got to take care of. Guess what happened? I got back home. I had to clean my wife off in the shower with all the crap that was on her, carry her and put her in the bed and cover her up, and then I had to clean up the shit all over the floor in the bath and the toilet. That was what I had to live with. And I remember vividly, and I was drinking beer. I went back to drinking beer just to cope with this. We lived in a beautiful ranch house. It was a 1,900 square foot, beautiful brick ranch house, double garage. It was beautiful. Lost it, foreclosure. Lost it. Then we moved into a house, and I told my ex, I said, look, you got to get you a job. I'm looking for a job. I didn't have the money. I was working a job, and I was making fairly decent money, but I couldn't afford to keep her up, my daughter up, and that. Now, what happened after that is that I ended up being homeless. And I remember sleeping over at my buddy's house, who's now dead. I told you about him, Glenn, about another Lynn story. I slept over at his place. I had to get up at 4. This is crazy. I went to sleep at about 11 because my buddy Glenn loved to go out and party. And we have what we call NODA in Charlotte. He would love to party. Let me see how we're doing over here. Yeah. We would, he would go out and party. He'd come in at like 1 a.m. He'd wake me up. Hey, man, how you doing, dude? Hey. Loud as could be. I'm trying to sleep because I got to get up at 4 o'clock, get myself ready, go pick up my daughter, come back, get ready to go to work. I was getting probably during that period of time 3 or 4 hours a night of sleep because my buddy he just loved to party. He loved to party every single night. He'd go out in Noda and get wasted drunk. So I finally was able to get my feet back on the ground. I was working for Carolina Building Group and was getting sales leads for their reps. I was making enough money to be able to make ends meet. And then my basically, my wife's sister told her, you need to get child support from that lazy asshole. So we made up an agreement of $100 a month, which was fine. I told my ex-wife, Gail, fine, I'll do $100 a month. I need to look at my budget because at that time I was living in an apartment complex. I need to check my budget to see if how that'll work. Can you wait? Yeah, I can wait. Guess what? I get a letter in the mail 3 days later from Mecklenburg County Court that I'm to meet for child support. What the hell? I called Gail up and I said, what is going on? You took too long. I said, it's only been about 3 or 4 days. Or a week. I don't know. Maybe it was a week. So what happened was, this is where I ended up losing my apartment and having to go back sleeping on, basically I was almost on the street. They did child support, which was taking out half of my check that I was making at work. Half of my check. And then after that, the court tells me that I have to pay for my daughter's insurance. I'm like, why doesn't my wife have to do that? She's working a job where she has insurance to cover her. Oh, hell no, not in Mecklenburg County. No, sir. You got to pay it. So with the Carolina Building Group, I remember I met with the insurance rep. He said, yes, we can set up a policy for your daughter and it'll come out of your check. I was really at the point, I remember talking to my good friend who was the resident manager of the apartment complex I lived at. She said, Bobby, I love you. You're a good guy. You've been a great tenant. But if you don't catch up on your rent in the next month, we're going to have to evict you. Kick me out of my apartment. Guess what? I got evicted and kicked out of my apartment. Really lost everything. I lost all my albums. I lost a lot of possessions. I lost pictures because I had to move very quickly. And I started sleeping on couches. And really, I was in a situation where, let me see who this is in Gusta's room. I was in a situation where I really was preparing to live on the street. Now, this story even gets crazier. I was prepared to live on the street. And I had already gotten a bag and everything. And I thought, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I guess I'm just going to end up having to live on the street. I remember my daughter called me. She said, Daddy, I'm worried about you. How are you? I said, well, Morgan, I'm basically getting my stuff ready here to go live on the street, and I might can get into the homeless shelter. Daddy, no, please, I don't want you to live on the street, Daddy. This story gets even crazier. My wife, or my daughter, talked my wife into letting me actually sleep on her couch in her apartment. Everything was pretty good. At that time, I'd lost my job. I was living off of unemployment, which in the state of North Carolina, unemployment, you don't get diddly squat. But I told her, I say, look, what I'll do is this. I'll pay part of your rent if I can to stay here. No. What I want you to do is get the hell out of my apartment. I got a life to live. Get you a damn job now. And that's the way she treated me. Mean. I tried so hard to get a job. I kept on and on and on and on. That's when I was on Craigslist and found this guy in a trailer park, Killian Trailer Park in Charlotte, North Carolina, Mecklenburg County. And what happened was, I'm going to check and see what's going on here. Nothing. The whole thing is that sleeping on her couch and trying to get a job, and this buddy, really nice guy, and he's dead. Everybody I'm talking about, except my ex-wife and daughter, are dead. He died, but he was a nice guy. I remember going over to his trailer, and he said, look, I would like to see you get a job, and I'm going to see if I can help you find one. But what I want you to do is you're going to pay a marginal rent with your money that you're bringing in. Oh, no, excuse me, that's two. I'm sorry, my brain's dead. I stayed with a guy in a house. He's the one that told me he would work with me. And everything was fine. I was trying to get work, and I was just, believe this, I was just getting ready to start another job, and I forgot what the job was. It was in marketing of something, where really at that time I wasn't making a ton of money. Somehow or another, I missed my rent payment. And I remember he called me up on the phone. He says, my daughter is very upset with you. And it's her responsibility to pay me rent that you're not paying. And so I told her daughter, and his daughter was a spoiled brat. I told her daughter, I said, look, I'm trying so hard right now to make ends meet. She told me, she said, you're going to leave this house. So I went to work. Oh, I was working for Eco Drink, vitamin drink. I was doing that part-time. I remember I went to work. I came home, and guess what? I saw all my stuff out in the carport of the house I lived in, and the door was locked. I knocked on the door, and nobody would answer. So you know what I did? I called the police department, and I told them my story. I said, I have not been legally evicted from that house. They've thrown all my stuff out in the carport. And so the police went in there and talked to her. You should have seen her and her boyfriend. They were just stunned. They're standing there going, my God, the police are in here. This is what I'm talking about. She told me that she's told me, she said, I didn't kick you out of the house. And I said, well, what are you doing putting all my stuff out there? Because I was just letting you know you need to leave. Bullshit. Girl, you locked the door and I knocked on it and you wouldn't let me in. Oh my God. Her father, and I can't remember the guy's name. He was a drunk. Her father called me up pissed off. He said, you called the police on my daughter? You asshole. I said, look, she gave me no choice. It was either that or I was going to be living on the street and I had no place to put my stuff. So that's when I got into the trailer with that guy that helped me out. The whole thing that I'm going to say is, unfortunately, I ended up really being in bad shape financially. And that's what I'm trying to say. I don't care if a mother has 5 children. Your husband, if you got 5 children, your husband is paying you a great deal. Now, I hear women all the time saying, my deadbeat husband never paid a dime of child support. I'm sorry. Peace out, guys.